And we're back. Welcome to St James's Pod. I'm Sam, joined by Alex and Tom for this one, where we're going to be going into the latest transfer rumours, all the news coming out of the club this week, and we're also going to be talking about our picks for potential transfers that Newcastle United could sign for free. And we'll be doing all of that after this quick ad read. So while you listen to that, like the episode, subscribe, and we'll see you after that. This episode is brought to you by Sword Tiling, lead tiling specialists in the North East, covering all aspects including commercial and domestic. They've got you covered. So head to sword_tiling on Instagram and tell them St James's Pod sent you. This episode we're going into a few different transfer rumours, so we're going to start with the one that's kind of been circling this week in Chiesa. So I don't know if you've kept up to date with the latest rumours, but it looks like we're obviously definitely going for a left attacking player, and he's the one we're going to talk about first. So have you seen much of him playing wise?
Well, he had a very decent campaign with Italy in the Euros a few years ago. Obviously, they went on to win it. He was one of their star players in that run, and yeah, he stands out as a player that I would highly rate. The thing for me is he's had sort of a few spells of like injuries, which are a bit of a concern, and I don't think he's particularly shone as bright as he could have done at Juve after he left Fiorentina. So there are some question marks over him, but I mean, talent wise, yeah, he's definitely up there as a player that we would be looking to get. He's got the experience of playing at a European level with Juve over the last few seasons, whereas obviously some of the other aforementioned names that we've looked at, like Harvey Barnes, top priority on that front. But yeah, he's got more experience on that level than others. But yeah, for me, the injury concerns are a little bit of a question mark for me. But yeah, he's if we could keep him fit, he's perfect sort of calibre of player that we would want in the squad.
I think he rose to prominence during was it Euro 2020? Obviously, yep. We'll not talk about the final as much, but yeah, I think he had a great tournament. I think that's why he came on a lot of people's radar, and I think he would be a class player if we could afford him. But the key point is, if we can afford him, no one really knows what our transfer budget is. It was rumoured to be 75 million, which we've spent a good chunk of that already. So yeah, these rumours keep rumbling on. And as Tom talked about with Harvey Barnes, nothing's been quite agreed yet, because we're just, well, personally, I don't think we'll have that wiggle room to spend on both wages and on the transfer fees, because I think there's a new like FIFA ruling or something like that, is it, where you can't have more than, I think it's 70 or 75% of your wages to turnover, and we're at about 95% at the moment. So obviously we're trying to increase the turnover coming in. Obviously new sponsorship deals, the new Sela deal will help with that, but I don't think it's quite enough for right now, especially that we've bought Tonali, got that over the line. But I think Chiesa's a little bit of a stretch right now, and I think the price tag that would have to pay 50 million plus. Again, I think he is worth it. I'm not saying he's not worth the money. I'm just thinking that we just can't afford it right now.
Yeah, might be a bit too soon. I'd seen Liverpool's in for him as well, or rumoured to be in for him. It would be annoying if another player we're linked with goes to Liverpool, but they're obviously in like a much better position. And we were just saying about Jordan Henderson potentially leaving for big money to Saudi, so obviously that helps them out in terms of transfer budget. So you mentioned Tom Harvey Barnes. We had a bit of a discussion on him in the last episode, or the one before, where we were talking about players who've obviously got relegated last season that we would potentially like to come to Newcastle, and you were quite a big advocate for Barnes, and you backed it up with his stats, which is kind of like the big debate in social media anyways, like people saying, so I guess sort of what I was saying at the time, which was like I didn't see him as quite that Champions League level, and then other people on your sort of side with the stats saying how good he did in a team that got relegated. So it looks like that one could actually be happening.
I think it really, I'd be pushing more Barnes than I would Chiesa, and I know it seems odd to say that since Barnes has not got the Champions League experience that Chiesa does, or the sort of levels of international experience that Chiesa does, but I just think that he's hitting form at the right time, and I think that's the sort of player that Eddie seems to target. Like he's hitting like the mark with players who are just coming into their like sort of best sort of stages of like their football and experience. Like, you know, Bruno is playing probably the best football that he's played all of his career since he joined us, and you know, arguably with Isaac as well in some degrees. Like there's plenty of like examples of ones that we've signed in the last season and a half who seem to just be clicking and just perfectly slotting into the way we do things. But I think Barnes is that one that could also just, it seems like is a ready-made fit for him to just come in and play off that left and you know, score similar amount of goals that he's already been chalking up for a Leicester team who, like you say, were on their way to relegation last season. He put up big numbers. You put him in our team with creative players that we've already got in the team. You know, the number could even be more. Like, you never know. But I think he could be a slightly cheaper option as well. And the numbers that Alex was saying around Chiesa are about 50 million euros or pounds, I'm not sure what, but I think Barnes could come in a little bit under that mark. So, and again, it's another quota as well on the English players as well, which we know. I know we won't struggle with too much because we've got quite a lot of you know, English-born players in the squad already, but it's another one to add to the list. So yeah, for me, I would like us to push further for Barnes than I would do Chiesa.
I agree he's a quality player, and I think he's a perfect fit. And if we do get him over the line, I'll be absolutely delighted. I'm not sure I'd prefer like if we got them for the same price, I'm not sure who I'd prefer. It is a tough one. Like obviously you talk about Chiesa having Champions League experience. Barnes has got obviously a lot of Premier League experience. I think he would slot in a lot easier. He'll know how we'll play. He's always played in like a high intensity like sort of formation. Like he does the running off the ball. He's not like sort of, I know we'll get on to him quite soon, Maxi, who doesn't do that work off the ball. But yeah, he's a quality player, quality finisher, and I'd have no qualms about getting him at all. So it seems like it is rumbling on, and I think we've had one of the journals from the Northeast, I can't remember which one, saying that today that it's still moving towards an agreement. Barnes wants to come, so we know the player's really keen, so we're not going to have, hopefully, him looking miserable in the fucking press photos. Well, hopefully he'll have a smile on his face if he does get over the line. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because as we know, the pre-season's already starting and the pre-season games are getting underway on Saturday.
Yeah, like you say with Maxi, it does, the way we're going after both of these does kind of spell the fact that he might be leaving. Like, and that's kind of what my argument was with Barnes, is that I'd prefer to keep Maxi than spend money on bringing Barnes in. But I think like what you were saying in the last episode, like going through his stats and the way they're kind of trending upwards as well, like season on season, and the fact he is such a Eddie Howe style of player, like, and apparently it's about 25 million we're looking at. It's not as much as first rumoured apparently. So if he's half the price of Chiesa, then yeah, I guess I'd have to agree that I'd go with him, especially at this stage with FFP and stuff like you were saying, Alex. It's probably a tough one to get Chiesa in. But
it's not much of a flashy name, but like Chiesa, like Italian, like international. He's played a lot of games for Italy. He played in the Champions League. Plays for the best, quote unquote, historically team in Italy.
In Italy.
But then Harvey Barnes coming from a team who got relegated last season, so it's there are differences on the names. If he was called like, I don't know, Hesse Barnesinho, then maybe the plaudits would be coming from the Newcastle fan base. But playing old Harvey Barnes is not exciting.
Do you think though that the Chiesa rumours are also trying to find links between trying to help Tonali, like in terms of making his transition, settling in, having another familiar face from the Italian national squad being amongst the team, because obviously currently there is no other Italian name that he's going to be able to settle in with at the Toon. But I don't know if that was just one of these like obvious links that journos are trying to do with the Chiesa stuff, but
or agents
could make sense.
I've got a feeling there's agents pushing him for a Prem move. That's what it seems, anyways.
Yeah, it could be.
And obviously Newcastle's names getting used left, right, and centre with trying to get players' names out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I wouldn't be surprised if Ashworth was interested because he's a great player. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's just a load of shite, if there's no concrete interest from Newcastle, if the deal's never actually going to get done, and if it's just the agent just trying to push a move for his player to get a wage hike and him get his little bonus on the side.
True, because like you say, it's not just Chiesa, it's been Barella, there's a few like high profile Italian national team players that have been linked with big moves in the last few weeks. So yeah, it could be just like you say, that trend. But yeah, Chiesa's name's kind of came out of like left field a little bit. Like I haven't seen any rumours from necessarily for Chiesa to us in this summer until now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to read into it, but at the minute, I think if any actual concrete interest is there, it's more with Barnes than it is Chiesa.
How are you feeling about Maxi now then, like with potentially leaving? Because I don't want to see him go, mate, but it looks like it might be going to happen.
Well, yeah, we've talked ample times about him throughout the last season, just how frustrating he can be, how brilliant on the other hand he can be as well. Yeah, he's a complete maverick, and it's great to have those sort of players in the team from time to time. But I think now, as we go on to sort of trying to progress to better things, I think we need more consistent like players who play consistently well week in, week out. You don't really look at the top teams and say, oh yeah, they've got this maverick of a player who can turn it on one week and not the next. They tend to be, a good solid player week in, week out, and yeah, you tend to see the maverick players playing at teams a bit further down the leagues because they stand out a little bit more from the rest of the players that are playing in the squad, because most of the time the rest of the players in the squad aren't very good. So yeah, for me in that respect, like I'm not as sort of Yeah, I don't hold as much sort of feeling towards Maxi leaving as maybe some other people do, but I can understand because on his day he has proven, like at times, to be, the best player on the park, but just not enough for me.
Axel Disasi. What are you saying?
Yeah, so I've been linked to this Monaco centre half a little bit earlier in the week. Once again, I don't know how much this is true. I don't know how much this is paper talk. Usually with all signings, who we do sign, they come out of absolutely nowhere and things seem to be agreed and done quite quickly. So I'm probably erring on the side of more unlikely. However, he's 25 years old. Monaco are a solid side. He's a solid player from what I've seen of him, albeit very brief clips that I've watched since we got linked with him. But again, he just fits that mould of Eddie Howe player. Young, coming into his prime, right-footed centre-back. He's obviously coming to be Shaw's understudies. So, and the fees that have been rumoured, sort of £20 million roughly, that gets you out these days. So if we can manage to get a decently rated player in for that fee, seems a little bit of a no-brainer. Considering players like perhaps Lascelles might be looking to move elsewhere to get first team football. We need to improve our depth at centre half anyways because we are so thin on the ground. So if we can't get him in on a decent price, then happy days. But since these rumours came out at the start of the week, so for reference, it's Thursday now. I think they started coming out sort of just after the weekend. It seems to have went off the boil quite quickly. So whether that's things getting done or whether it's just paper talk, you don't know.
I've heard Man U. I've heard Man U were like also in with him. Obviously, they're trying to do a similar thing to what we're doing in sort of moving Harry Maguire on and bringing in another right-footed centre half. So and I think it's obvious that we're trying to do the same with Lascelles. I think if we were to try and sell Lascelles between 5 to 10 million to somebody, of the maybe in the Nottingham Forest area of the country, that if we were able to sell him there, then get Disasi in for 10 million more, and I think that would turn into a great little bit of business. But
I'll be very surprised if he turns out to go for 20 million. But
to be fair, we've already rinsed Forest for Chris Wood and Shelby. Maybe we'll just try and put them in the shop window again. We give you a really good price. We'll give you a really good deal with Shelby. Chris Wood bargain.
Yeah. No, we've done. I think Lascelles going for between 5 to 10 million is definitely
20 million you can piss off, but for 5 to 10.
Yeah, no, I never said 20 million. Sam's putting words in my mouth here.
I meant Disasi.
Disasi.
If Disasi goes for 20 million, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, Lascelles for 5 to 10, and then Disasi. Probably would need to be pushing more towards 30 million to get somebody of him. But I'd echo the same thoughts Alex said around Monaco players. They don't tend to be bad players. They've had a very good record of selling on players, and those players turn out to be very, very good players. You just have to look at the Mbappes, the Bernardo Silvas, that Badiashili's just recently left for Monaco to go to Chelsea. He looks a pretty good player as well from a centre half's perspective, left-sided centre half. But I rate him. I think if we can get a deal done for we don't want to be blowing too much of the budget like we talked about. We don't have a great deal of money to be working with, and we've got other targets in mind. But if we can sell one for between 5 to 10, generate that bit of income, and then bring in Sally in for between 25-30 million or so, then I think that could definitely appease everybody, and I think it's definitely a part of the squad that we need to improve on. It looks a gaping sort of issue for us if we were to ignore it and go into the season as we are with the two players that we have as right-sided centre halves. I think we just don't have the depth there.
No, we definitely don't. But it'll be interesting to see if somebody like Lascelles does go out, if other players like Manquillo and stuff go out. We still haven't got rid of Ryan Fraser. I don't think we got rid of Hayden or anyone yet either. So
No.
whether kind of move us into the news here, but I wonder if Eddie's going to look at them in pre-season or not, or whether they're 100% gone. But yeah, the lads have come back as of last Sunday into pre-season, and he's had them straight into the checking out the fitness. Apparently they keep kind of records year on year of how fit they come back, so I think the lads, that's probably one reason the lads have been trying to keep fit while they've been away. So it'll be interesting to see those numbers, to see who's come back the fittest.
Be class to see the bleep test numbers, to see like who's the fittest and who's the pies.
Who do you reckon? Who do you reckon's the fittest? Who do you reckon's the pie?
It always seems to be a centre midfielder who turns into being the fittest, just generally from the position that they play. But yeah, I don't know.
Matt Ritchie or something. You could
I was going to say Matt Ritchie.
You know? Passes out.
Even
though he's getting on.
Probably like a solid pro like that might just do it. The pies though, like who would be the pie?
I thought you look feel that Dan Burn would be coming fucking close to last. Like,
he's Dan Burn.
I think Lascelles might be down there as well.
Wait,
Mark Gillespie spends his 4 weekends in Causes Yours, so...
I was going to say, we can't count the keepers in the bleep test, surely, because, that's just not fair, but, I think Dan Burn might be a good show for the pie, but, yeah. No offence, Dan.
The pie from Blythe. I seen
pie. Never be Dan Burn.
Eat Dan Burn. Oh right.
What?
What though?
I was going to mention Kraft, obviously still injured, which is a bit of bad news. We thought he'd be back for pre-season, but not quite ready yet, apparently. So obviously he won't be smashing out the bleep test. But what did you make to the? I don't know if you saw the interview they had and the stuff that came out of the training ground and stuff on social media when the lads were coming back in, but it was good to see Eddie Howe talking, and I think it was like 5-6 minute clip of him just discussing what they were doing, coming straight back in, and I think he's in his element in pre-season, and so I think it's going to be a really good one this season.
That's the thing, he's a proper tactician. He loves that side of the game. Like, I love seeing him with clips of him on the Toon socials of him actually playing as well. Because obviously, like, you don't see him as a player because he retired so early. So seeing him like knocking it about on the training ground is actually really good to see. Obviously, Bruno and a few other players on international duty, they're starting to come back as well. So we should have. I think everyone should be back for the weekend for the game on Saturday. Obviously, I wouldn't expect to see any of those players start against Gateshead, but maybe like a few of the young'uns. Obviously, Mintek got his first goal for Fine, the other day.
Oh, he did.
Although it was a penalty. Yeah. So, but that was a funny one. That he was obviously
taking them.
Yeah, like I'm guessing it was just a friendly. So I think it was Arnie Slot, the manager. It could well have been. I didn't see the foul, but nice of him to give him a pen, to give him a boost on his debut and slotted it away nicely. So as opposed to Kual, who it took him like the full season to get off the mark, hopefully he'll get some minutes and obviously come back stronger.
Yeah, did you see any of the lads coming back, Tom, or?
No, I've not seen enough of what they've like coming back. I'm interested to see how Anthony Gordon comes back. I don't know how long he's got off extra to everybody else from playing in the under-21s, but obviously coming back off such a great tournament, a winning tournament, it'd be great to see.
No less.
Well, exactly that. Yeah, like he was just involved in everything in that running. So yeah, I'd be interested to see just how like much confidence he's going to bring back from that into pre-season, especially, and then just generally just see how much they're up for it, because they know they're going to be up for a big challenge next season. So like, there's no there can't be no rest. Like they got to kick on again. So yeah, I'll interested to see it. But yeah, I've obviously seen the clips of Tonali when he first signed. I haven't seen any sort of clips of him in pre-season yet. But
he's been on the jollies.
We were talking before you came on, Tom, about how nice the training ground's looking in those videos. When Tonali's getting shown around, like they've done a cracking job on the refurb.
Oh yeah, we had our inside man, but he's given us the lowdown. Yeah, he has. No, he's it's looking brilliant, and yeah, just what we need. Like, players like Tonali coming in, like they're obviously so used to world class facilities at likes of AC Milan. So yeah, they need to be showing likewise similar facilities when they come to us. So yeah, it's looking a lot better than wheelie bins and the like. So yeah,
it must make such a difference coming into like that training ground as opposed to the old one. Like,
do you reckon when they got shown around, they'd actually show them the wheelie bins back in the day?
So this is the hydrotherapy pool.
Honestly, the front of it looked like a primary school, and it just didn't look like a Premier League football training ground. Like, it just, compared to like some of the ones that you see from even just down the road, like the Mackems, like you look at the front of their training ground, like from back in the day compared to ours, it was like night and day. Like, so, no wonder we lost like a load of talent going there rather than to us, like from the youth teams, the academy teams. So, yeah, sometimes it comes down to those like little details. So yeah, no, it's looking a hell of a lot better now.
Do you reckon we'll smash Gateshead again?
Well, hoy the heathen, will you? A few of the young'uns should get everyone out, I'd imagine. I can't see Eddie chucking all the players in fresh from like 6 weeks off or however long they got. So I'd expect a pretty weak lineup. But obviously
Elliot Anderson will be in the first team, because I think he could be one of them that smashes out the deep test. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I think a few of those will get run out. I think sort of. I don't know how many have went back on loan, like Kel Watts and the likes. But seeing a few of those players who have been on the sort of fringes of the first team squad, like on the bench a couple of times. Obviously, young Lewis who came on.
Aye.
Lewis Miley.
I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of him, because obviously, we had a little flash of him that game against Chelsea, but
Riley Miley.
Yeah, no, I would expect to see them guys. Maybe Charlie MacArthur as well, the young centre half, Scottish centre half. Give him a run out, and
like Harrison Ashby. We've seen now.
Is he fit?
Minutes.
Is Ashby fit?
I genuinely don't know. Like, you just don't hear anything of him. You don't even hear his name mentioned when it comes to the first team squad. So if he got some minutes under his belt. And to be fair, just seeing him actually kick a ball, like he's actually played some minutes in the Prem for West Ham.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen him at all. So I think the game's televised on like National League TV or something like that. So it's on some channel.
Will it
So
be
I'm
on
sure-
NUFC TV? Do you think?
Quite
They did
possibly,
that.
I'm not sure.
Quite a few last season, didn't they?
Yeah,
And then
but,
I think the Sela Cup's going to be on NUFC TV, which that's obviously been announced since the American trip and everything like that. Extra game in there, or extra couple of games in there. Was it sponsored by somebody else as well? It's like the Sela Cup brought you by
yeah,
the Maldives or something.
It was Crete maybe. It was
Wow.
yeah. It was sponsored by some other country which isn't Saudi Arabia.
It's
So
it's
it's
good,
not
like
Jeddah. Brought to you by
More-
Jeddah.
more money though. Surely, like it looks like we're trying to do every little deal everywhere. So
Presented by Visit Malta.
Malta, that was it.
Oh, hey, bring in Malta.
How do you feel about that though? Another
Well, I love
couple of
Maltesers.
games. Another 2 games just before the season kicks off. We didn't we have a
Yeah.
similar thing last season though. And he did like 2 friendlies in 2 days, and he put 2 different team like starting lineups out to see them before the.
We're not going to see any same player play the 2 games. It's going to be exhibition games, and
Yeah.
it's bizarre because so we've got 1 game on the Saturday, 1 on the Sunday, and obviously the first Prem game's the Saturday following. So there's going to be a 6-day gap between the end of the Sela Cup and the start of the Premier League. So apparently players aren't too pleased with it either, because obviously we're going to have a long season ahead of it with a lot of games, being in 3 competitions now. But yeah, it just seems a little bit unnecessary to pack in another. I guess it'll be 1 game per player a week before the start of the season, but I guess we'll see. Fingers crossed we don't get any injuries, because that would be a disaster. Like,
Yeah. It's probably a good thing though. I would have thought like a week before your first game to have a decent run around. But
did think so.
Well, yeah, we played. Just looking back now, we had some games in Portugal where we played Burnley on the same day, but that I think is the one that you're talking about, where we put out 2 different teams against Burnley, and we won 6-1 and 3-1 in both of those games. And then we played in the Eusebio Cup and lost to Benfica, and then played the last 2 games before the season at St James's, where we
yeah, they're the
played
2 I
on.
was all about.
Yeah, it was Atlanta, and then and then the day later we played Athletic Bilbao, and
Yes,
we won
that was
both.
it.
But that was the 29th and the 30th of July, and then we started the season then on the 6th of August. So
yeah, same again.
yeah, same again. I think the schedule's not an issue really. Like, I think the players shouldn't have too many issues with that. It's and the fact that we're playing these games in America against other Premier League clubs, we're playing high standard teams in these friendlies. It's not just low standard teams. I mean, last season we didn't play like bad sides either. Like,
No, we kind of ramped it up, didn't we? Which I guess we're trying to do again.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we played the German
tournament's
sides
a bit
as well.
better, I'd say, than the last season.
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet. Well, that's the news coming out of the club. Unless there's something I've missed.
We've covered pretty much everything by the sounds of it. All
Right.
the transfer bollocks.
Yeah, love it. And you know what else? You know what else I love? A freebie.
Tight
He
off.
squeaks when he walks.
We'll talk about players on out of contract at the minute, so we could pick them up on a free transfer. So we've obviously each done our own list of players, but I feel like we're probably going to have picked out a lot of similar ones. So let's rattle through these and see. I think the main thing here is that the wages, sorry, might be quite high due to the fact that you're obviously not paying for them. But I think we kind of have to take that out of the equation and just kind of look at the player and say, like, would we take them at Newcastle? Not necessarily do we think it's realistic or not, but just would we have them and could we see them fitting in somehow? And I might as well kick off while I'm rambling on and say Wilfred Zaha.
He's the obvious one, isn't he?
Yeah. So obviously we're linked with left wingers, and he's in a similar mold to a Maxi, but you could argue more consistent. But he is 30, so I don't know for him what sort of move he's actually going to be looking for. But you'd imagine it's like one last long contract.
I don't know. I don't know if many teams would be. Oh, I say many in terms of like the European-based teams are going to be throwing 5-year contracts at him at the age of 30. And yeah, he's had a few good consistent years of like playing regular football. I don't think he's had too many major injuries in that time, but still, I would think that a 5-year deal would be a bit. I don't think he'll get that from a European-based team. Maybe not even from like a further afield. I think a 3-year deal, but he'll probably want it to be the max sort of figure and value that he could get from those 3 years. And I don't think there's many other sort of clubs at the minute that can do that other than those based in Saudi, and that's where the heavy links are. That he.
Have you heard the story about that?
I've heard something about the figures that he's been asking for, and it's astronomical. But I don't know how much to believe in it.
Well, I've heard there's been links, obviously, with him going to Saudi. Understandably, he's a free agent. He's a good player. Like, I would take him. However, apparently he wants too much money to go to Saudi. And if Saudi are saying you're wanting too much money, like I think he's the first person I've heard who's like expressed interest in going to Saudi to like obviously a step down from the Premier League, who have turned around and said, actually, no mate, like you're taking the piss here.
Yeah. Can't be taking the piss out of Saudi.
As you're saying, it must be an astronomical figure because Palace have came out and said that they'll make him the highest paid player ever at the club at 200 grand a week.
200 is massive money for Palace.
It costs us massive money.
It's massive money for us, I would say.
Well, it'd be our highest ever by far. So yeah, that kind of money, like we're not going to pay him. Like we're just not. But that's the thing. The fact that he wants to go to Saudi just to get payday makes me not want to sign him for Newcastle because like why would you want a player whose motivation is clearly more than playing football in the Premier League? He just wants to get paid, and he's 30. Like he could still like do a job at like maybe not like a top 6 club, but like a best of the rest, like kind of like Villa, Brighton, like even Newcastle. But he clearly doesn't want that.
He knows that there was a point in his career where maybe a couple of years ago he could have made the jump from Palace to go for Arsenal. I know Arsenal had been keeping an eye on him. Obviously, he knows
Spurs
now.
As well, actually.
And Spurs maybe as well, yeah. But he knows those teams aren't gonna like, spend the money that he's after to bring him in. So he's pretty much pigeonholing himself into one place, and that is Saudi. And it's just whether or not like he can negotiate the contract with a Saudi club to take him. And if it's 200, if he's after more, then like yeah, I've heard figures of something like 900 grand a week, like which is just absolutely mental. Like I think even 500,000 is like stupid money.
Well, if Jordan Henderson's getting like 800 grand, then he's probably worth 900.
Oh yeah, he's gonna Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, let's be honest. Like, Zaha's gonna be more of a. All right, Henderson. Yeah, he goes to Saudi as being a Champions League winner and all that sort of stuff. Like in his past, but Zaha's like still able to score goals and stuff. And if that's what the Saudi clubs want, they want that attacking, like, talented, like, player, then yeah, go for it. Splash a load of money on Zaha. But for me, yeah, he could have been a good player, like, for us if he was realistic in the sort of numbers that he's after. But yeah, he's out of the question.
Yeah, I don't want him either. So, who's next?
I'll jump in. So there has been, and I don't know how much of this paper talk is just convenient or not, but of talk of Daichi Kamada, who a Japanese international who was at Frankfurt, won the Europa League with Frankfurt when they beat Rangers. A very talented player, attacking midfielder, who could be a good fit for us. He's 26. His numbers are pretty solid from playing in Germany at Frankfurt for the last few seasons. I don't think he would be after massive amounts in comparison to Zaha, that is, but he was very close to signing for AC Milan, and a deal fell through. So
this is a shithole, and I want to move to Newcastle.
Well, exactly. Tonali's probably just got in his
more
ear.
Beautiful
and just said,
city. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tonali said, "Yeah, Kamada lad, come with me." So he's the deal fell through. So there's links with us and Spurs. Obviously, Spurs are linked with every player that we're linked with at the minute. So I think this one could actually happen, and I think it would be a good one. It would obviously, I think if we were to get Kamada, it might be sort of put pays to the Chiesa and Barnes links potentially, because he would be coming into play in a similar sort of position. But I don't know. Watch the space on that one.
It's funny you mentioned Spurs there, and they've obviously just signed Manor Solomon, who was on loan at Fulham last season, and his contract wasn't up, but because he was a non-Ukrainian player playing for Shakhtar, FIFA have basically said, or it might be UEFA have said, that he's allowed to go on a free. So that's a ridiculous signing for Spurs for zero outlay. So maybe that would open up him coming to us. To be fair, Spurs have already fulfilled their need for a winger, and obviously got the man on a free. Another winger which I was looking into, who also plays on the left, is Jonathan Bamba for Lille. His contract's up, and his stats that I've looked at are pretty impressive, to be honest. 296 appearances, 44 goals, 50 assists. So that's pretty, one every 3 games, goal or assist, like not too shabby. He's 27. Again, a position that we need. So if we couldn't afford to get Chiesa Barnes in, I think we could probably get him in on a decent contract, decent player, decent fit for the system. I just think these kind of like deals, there aren't too many going about, as you'll probably find out with the names that we're going to read out going further down the list. Because I've got a few questionable names written down. But I don't think Jonathan Bamba's one of them. And I think he would be a solid signing. But again, there's links with so many clubs with him, his contract being up. So I think it's probably, considering I haven't heard his name linked, I think it's probably less likely than likely that we'll make a move at this point, especially when he's been out of contract for a couple of weeks already.
Yeah. Well, we might as well stick with the left wing while we're talking about that position.
How many left wingers are going on freeze? It's too many.
There's
too many, man.
I mean, obviously this is I've gone off. I think it's transfer mark about who's still out of contract. So if any of these have picked up a contract since, I'm not sure. But this one is Mohamed Elyounoussi. Obviously,
He scored from the Gallagher's.
yeah. Obviously, we know him. We've seen him play in the Premier League. For me, he's a decent player, but I'm not sure he's quite like.
To the audio listeners, Paige is pulling some faces. It might be his normal face, but I think he's pulling faces.
I'm not sure on the Elyounoussi show, if I'm being honest. I think that I'm trying to see whether or not he's like, yeah, he's not better than any of the players we currently have in that position. So yeah, I'm struggling with Elyounoussi, personally. I don't think he did a great deal in the last few seasons at Southampton. In fact, I think he was loaned out at a Celtic at one point.
Celtic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's probably a cut like below what we'd be looking for anyway. He might even be a cut below what we already have, and he's 28 as well, so he's not really going to be that age bracket would want if you need to work on him. So probably a no on Elyounoussi. I'll give you another left winger though, if you want one.
Another one.
Not another one.
Eden Hazard's apparently out of contract.
I apparently Real, he had 1 year left, and they've terminated his last year and let him go.
Is that something you would consider? Oh,
it fucking screams Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
it just screams Saudi.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just got flashes back to a conversation about who would be the pie when we talk about Hazard.
I'm sure Memphis Depay's contract is actually up as well. So Depay might be Depay.
He's Hazard's definitely.
Would you take him?
I look. It's down to whether or not his fitness and desire is there. Like his fitness obviously was a massive. It was a massive issue. His fitness at Real Madrid. Like he clearly like. I don't know what kind of. The thing is, he left Chelsea as being one of the best players in the Premier League at that point. Let's be honest.
He was phenomenal.
He was fantastic, but I don't know what it was when he got to Real. Like we'll probably find out in a few years when he retires, and he then tells his story about how all that happened. But like he just seemed to just fall off the cliff. Like don't know if the money or whatever or the pressure of playing for. Like,
he just loves tapas food. He just.
I mean, he clearly did.
He loved the tapas. Can't get enough of it.
Oh man, he's living off that stuff. Like fucking chorizo and everything. Like he just went. He ballooned. Like and like he didn't. He didn't.
No one tell him that just because they're small plates, you can't have 10 of them.
He's just having normal sized plates of tapas.
A big old fucking Polish chorizo.
Not even that, like a fucking charcuterie board. Like he was just, he was having the lot, man, and everything else.
I don't blame him one bit as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Aye, when you're there, like he's playing for the like biggest club or best, whatever you want to call him in Spain, like, and yeah, he obviously was getting well paid there, and. Yeah, I don't know. They just obviously didn't work for him there, but his career just went down the shitter and like.
So would you take a risk on him or not? I think there's probably a no in it.
I think 1 year contract on less than 100 grand a week.
No.
Yes, give him a go. Fucking what?
I just don't think he's got the desire to do it. I really don't.
Yeah,
I think
probably not.
You go from Real.
I don't think he'd want to play for Eddie Harvey though.
I don't think Eddie would want him either. Like,
Grafton, would he?
No,
we're talking about
Eddie...
Maxi being a luxury player.
Yeah, no, he's too. This guy's like beyond luxury, but he is screaming like you say Saudi. Like, if I'm surprised he hasn't already gone there already. Yeah, so
Read
No.
from one Real Madrid flop to one Real Madrid legend. Sergio Ramos, talk to me.
What is he now? 37.
37, 38, I think. Yeah, he's
I mean, if you wanted a
he's
test,
he's over
Yeah.
the hill.
he's over the
But
hill, but
Sergio Ramos on that team would be a fucking menace.
Yeah, Champions
Yeah,
League
I mean-
experience, obviously.
Champions League
Yeah,
legend, yeah.
I genuinely think he could slot in there and do a job.
If Thiago
I'd
Silva can slot
prefer
in,
him to Lascelles, so
yeah,
Well, yeah, clearly. So and Lascelles is our current number one backup. So
if Thiago Silva
get him in.
can sign for Chelsea at the age of 35 and still look the prime player in, that team, or
what's
a very decent player in that team, then Ramos could do the same for us.
how many minutes did he play last season?
I don't think he played that many, to be honest.
At PSG, was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't
I think
think
that's
he
the issue, innit?
featured much.
yeah. But
But
I
it's-
thought it was a funny one to throw out there because 37 years old. It looks like he's going to Miami. So fucking hell. They're
Yeah.
gonna have
Yeah.
just an ex La Liga best 11 out there. They're gonna have Messi, Busquets, Ramos, fucking
On-
boys.
On the note of
That'll be
centre
fucking
backs,
sick, by the
though,
way.
on those right centre backs, right-footed centre backs that we're talking about, a couple of names there that jump out on the list. So, one slightly more experienced first, Samuel Umtiti. Obviously, last played at Barca, I think. 29.
I didn't actually know he was out of contract.
Yeah, he's on the list. He's
Ooh.
obviously a very talented
Umtiti.
centre half, and some Tite. So yeah, he's one who's from back in the day before he went to Barca was very highly thought of. And
He was in
yeah,
the French national side at one point, I'm sure.
he was. Yeah. He just again, I'm not quite sure what the reason was for why he fell out of favour, but he's got plenty, obviously, of that Champions League experience again, and yeah, I'm not sure
And a definite upgrade on the cells. So
exactly, even 1 year younger. So yeah, for me, he could be a standout. I'm not sure if there's been any links with him going to any other teams.
It looks like he was loaned out last season, though. Lecce.
Oh right, yeah. So he was in Italy. I mean, a mid-table team in Italy, for that matter. So yeah,
So I've got two more centre backs on my list. The first one I'd say is an upgrade on Lascelles, Yeremina.
okay.
Thoughts? Obviously, he's leaving Everton at the end of the season.
How old is he?
He's 28.
Prime. Get the prime
yeah.
shots back in.
He's a prime.
Well, Prime was after he played us in the was it World Cup 2018 when he
Yes.
scored ahead of Arianswa?
Yes,
It
yeah.
would have been, aye.
He looked again another
That
ex-Barca guy. Yeah,
Yeah, Prime where he got his move after that tournament, and he looked a hell of a player, and he just hasn't quite lived up to it. And I don't know whether that's a him problem or Everton problem or what. But 28 years old. There's clearly a solid player in there,
yeah.
and for free.
From speaking to Everton fans, I know family members. They rated him in some respects, but I think as well, there was a lot of inconsistencies with him. But the problem was, though, that Everton at that point have had stacks of centre halves, and I just don't think they ever really truly worked out who the best partnerships were for those positions. So there was just a lot of rotation amongst those players, and I think Yerry Mina, for that matter, was sort of a victim to that. Just never sort of properly settled into a sort of back four. But he's obviously a physical guy. He scored a couple of goals as well from set pieces, so he's
we have really struggled with this season.
Yeah, so that could be an option. And again, going back to looking at for people with the experience of playing in the Champions League, he has featured for them, for Barca, that is, in that competition.
Everton in the Champions League.
Everton in the Champions League. What are you on about? So potentially that could be a sneaky move.
I just googled him, and the like two things on the first page is like he's had a bust up with Everton fans and a bust up with Colombia fans. So I don't know if maybe
he's a fiery one. So did Anthony Gordon though. We signed him.
No, he had
not Colombia.
That's, I suppose. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, that was it. I remember the.
Can let him
the
off for
bust
having
up.
a bust up with Everton fans, because obviously,
Yeah.
Oh, the Everton fans were fucking all over the place. They were
fans
chasing after the players.
Could be the same, I don't know.
Yeah.
And other player, centre half I was going to mention is Axel Tuanzebe, who's been dotted around for quite a while now. Obviously, he's been on the Man United books since he was a young'un. He's spent some time at Villa, he spent some time at Napoli, and he was at Stoke last season for, I think it was the second half of last season. And
yeah,
I wouldn't say he impressed, but as a homegrown player, as a squad player, just as for some depth, because we've got no depth at all. Like, I wouldn't mind having him in the squad as like a fourth or fifth centre back. Like, we don't need to pay him a lot of money. We don't need to pay a transfer fee. I'd probably rather put him in like a big game than one of the like 18-year-olds that we've got. Like, yes, it's not.
Yeah.
Is it an exciting signing? No, not at all. Of course, it's not. Is he a good quality player that we want to start games? No. But just that little bit of depth, I don't think it would be terrible.
Do you think Eddie Howe looks at Dummett as depth for centre back?
Hope not, but probably.
But the thing is, he's like, I'd only be putting Dummett behind Botman and Byrne for the left-sided centre half position.
You can't play Botman right-sided though if we're injury stricken. He's not. He's not bad with his right foot. Yeah,
no, we can, but I'd prefer not to. So
Imagine how slow our left side would be if we had Byrne and Dummett.
If we have to put that in.
Either of them playing centre half.
But the thing is, it kind of what's the point in keeping Dummett if he's not even third choice, left-sided centre back?
I don't think there is much point, but
no,
he was an odd. No, to be honest, his.
I'm gonna be honest.
Keeping him on was like, I don't know, a surprise to me. Like, along with, he got signed on with Karius for an extra year, but I seen the logic with Karius one, but not necessarily with the Dummett one. So
anyway,
yeah. But no, I agree. I think we do. Otherwise, at the minute, the only other option that we have, if we had an injury crisis, and if we're not planning on selling him, would be throwing Isaac Hayden in as a auxiliary centre half. And God, no one wants
to as well.
We Kraft
right-sided centre.
Yeah, we can, but
we want to be pushing for European football. Have you heard the kind of names we're throwing about playing centre half? Man? It's fucking embarrassing.
I'd rather Kraft than Isaac Hayden.
This is
it's
us all
not the best.
And it's not, and this is all us praying to the football gods that Fabian Schär just consistently plays every single game, which is unlikely, unrealistic. Yeah. But right now, you cannot have, going into the season, Schär just being the only one that we have faith in, being a consistently good right-sided centre.
I think that's the thing though, is we need to upgrade that second right-sided centre back, Like, I'm fine if Lascelles is still here and he's third choice. But when we're talking about depth, it's really that, like, second. Either we need to upgrade the first and then, like, Share's second, or we need someone to come in and be understudy to Share. And I'm just not sure any of these fit that, to be honest.
Not massively, no.
No.
Again, it's just the money constraints, which is
why
we're talking about these free agents, I think.
Yeah, on a short term to get us through the next sort of season, maybe two. Have you got any other defenders on your list?
One player who has played defence. He's very much a utility player, and I wouldn't actually mind if we signed him. He's spent some time on loan at I want to say Southampton, Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Oh yeah.
So he's only 25. He's been released from Arsenal.
Yeah.
And he can play. I'm sure he can play full back, centre mid, as like a number 6, 8. I'm sure he can play a number of positions. If he was on Football Manager, he'd have green dots all over the pitch.
He would die.
But yeah, like coming through Arsenal Academy, obviously played like a lot of times for youth England squads. I think he's got a lot more to give, and at 25, he's not over the hill by any stretch. Eddie, hard-working manager, hard-working player. I think could probably get a decent performance out of him. Another English player, so just there's another one for the European quarter, or the league quarter even. So I think he's a solid player, and I'd happily sign him. I'd really happily sign him.
Yeah.
How about you?
No, I think he's. If we're looking at again, there's another ex-Southampton / Arsenal player who's on the free transfer list, who's a bit of a versatile player in Oxlade-Chamberlain. If we're looking at those, the battle of the two double-barreled surnames, Maitland-Niles beats out Oxlade-Chamberlain for. He's consistently fit, obviously, for one, which is important, which Oxlade-Chamberlain's really struggled with injuries. But yeah, I think having the ability to play in those defensive positions as well means that we could then realistically let go of one of our full-backs if we were to bring Maitland-Niles in.
I really like that shout, actually.
And that then kind of opens up another sort of slot in the team then to look into. So yeah,
should be good pass.
Like if we can let like Jamal Lewis go or someone, like that would be ideal to bring him in,
exactly
in the same wage that Lewis is getting.
Yeah,
or even Mankio or someone.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but you know that you can have them on the bench, and then but if an injury happens to a midfielder or a fullback, then you can rejig things and slot them in. So yeah, I know some of these loans to some of the clubs like West Brom and Southampton, they've not always worked out quite so well. But I think Arsenal fans, for the best part, thought he was a good player for when he did have to step in for them. Never going to be a long-term Arsenal player, I don't think. But he was, he was
clearly not.
I think we could do a lot worse. Like,
oh yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, so I'm on board with you on that one.
And he can improve under Eddie, so yeah, I think that's a great show.
Exactly.
If we go at the other end of the scale, though, someone who's got no room to improve, apparently Alexis Sanchez is out of contract.
Where,
you know what? I originally wrote him down, and I was like, no, fuck, I'm not even gonna write that. Like.
Okay. I also overlooked Sanchez, but yeah, again, mainly because I've seen the Saudi dollars in his eyes. But yeah, no, I don't think
how old is he? Like
34,
36, 37? Oh, fucking hell. Spring chicken in the Saudi league.
Someone who is a spring chicken in that case is Lucas Moura. 30 years old.
He's not, doesn't mean I wouldn't take him.
I'd probably take him.
Lucas
I
Moura.
just think it's one of those players where you think like he's just going to go to a club where he's going to play a bit more. Like he's not a guaranteed starter here. We probably don't want to pay him that much money. He hasn't got many minutes or the last couple of seasons for Spurs.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I
thing.
don't think he'll want his last decent contract to be just a bit part player. However, if we can get him on a decent contract and as a backup, he's class. I really rate him. But
Yeah, 'cause he comes
I
off
just
the
don't know
right
whether
side,
he'd
doesn't
want to
he?
move.
So he's a left footer. So that we've talked about having the bit of like with Miggy, somebody who can come in who's a like for like for Miggy, and Moura can obviously do that. So yeah, that is an area which he could fill quite nicely. I was going to mention another name in Isco. So
Cisco.
I think he's no, not Cisco. Isco. Yeah, we're not doing the Fong song. Yeah, Isco is he can
not
he
even
can
a bit of Dizzy Rascal. I'll take you there. Isco.
Oh, where?
I think we've been going too long on this. Like.
Ooh, have I? Isco
Game all night, lads.
can play all across them, like the attacking three. Yeah, obviously Real, he's played loads of minutes there, won Champions Leagues aplenty. 31, so again, somebody of the like sort of we can, I don't know,
Back
don't want
end.
to say over the back end, but like he can
Wait.
maybe if we got him on a couple of year deal, like he could be somebody who just eases us into like the Champions League era from using his experience of having gone all the way and winning it. So yeah. That
Did he
would
win?
be,
You've seen Casemiro come in at 30 years old to Man U from Real, and he's absolutely class.
Yeah.
He's only 31. Like it's not like he's like past it.
Was he at
Like, he's
Sevilla
been
last
a quality
season?
player in his day.
They
yeah,
won
he was
the Europa
yeah,
League,
no, he
did
did. Yeah, he won the Europa. The reason why I think Sevilla have had to, they're in a massive like financial issue right now. So
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Isco's probably one which they just weren't able to keep, and amongst plenty others. So yeah, that's probably why he's become available. Yeah, I haven't heard many rumours about a potential destination for him.
No.
And I haven't heard. I know we've mentioned Saudi loads in this, but like I think he's probably a player that isn't likely to go to Saudi. If anything, he would probably find another team in Europe before that. So yeah, I think he could be a good fit for us, and just yeah, any of those sort of attacking front three positions would work.
Well, moving on from Saudi and Slippy G, we'll move on to Slippy T. Adamat Traore.
Oh yeah.
Old Slippy Arms himself.
He's on my list.
Slippy.
So.
Like he's one of these players who obviously he's been compared to Maxi in the past, where he's a really good dribbler and his end product's not great. However, I think Traore is more. I would probably compare more to Obertan. Like,
Yeah, wow.
that's not a slight. What's with that reaction, lad? Obertan wasn't a bad player. He could get past his man, and then he just didn't know what to do with it. He just couldn't cross a ball, and he
He had a
couldn't
brain
work his
freeze
way in the
every
box.
time. Yeah, like he didn't. He honestly
I
just
feel like
didn't.
Traore
know
was the
what-
same.
Played, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah. Traore is the same. He's got zero end product at all.
Exactly.
But
Well, you're not
he'll
selling them
happily
yet.
run straight down the line. I'm not selling them because he's got them for free.
Aye, well, I'm not. I don't know.
No, I saw the name, and obviously like he's been like linked with like going to Barca again and stuff like that. And a few years ago, he was like thought to be like a really good player. He got in the Spain squad.
He is a good player, like.
Yeah, he's a good sprinter.
Yeah, very physical. Yeah, physical. Like in
He's
way
a
he plays.
fucking unit.
Yeah, that's just. But again, he plays off the right, which is another area that we're looking into. But he's a completely different player than Miggy. Like, imagine if we were like to be like, right, Miggy coming off, Traore on, like it's like just too chalk and cheese. So
it'd be good though for against their left back. Be like, you get used to Miggy and then Traore comes on.
Completely makes it
Traore
up.
just runs a truck over you. Yeah.
He's right-footed as well, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So it's like when we bring Murphy on, except he's got a load of strength.
I'd probably prefer Murphy at this stage, than Traore.
Oh, wait,
I think
he's got a lot more quality on the ball.
Can we get that clip?
I'd be a bit pissed off if we
It's
let.
at the end of the pod. No one's listening anymore. It doesn't matter.
Aye, wait, no, bring it to the front.
Anyone's left.
Yeah,
Get it on the highlights.
yeah.
Fuck.
No, I'd be pissed off if we let Maxi go and sign Traore though.
I'll be a big downgrade.
Although I suppose,
Yeah.
if you're selling Maxi for decent money and you're getting Traore for free, then
for free.
Nah,
That's why a few of these players are worth talking about, because it's just the wages you pay and maybe a sign-on bonus to the player.
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting when you look at, again, we're using Transfermarkt as a sort of way in which we're pulling these names out, but like they also give a market value to these players, and the top of that list is Kamada at like 27 million is what he's value at. That's obviously quite a big, coup if you get him on a transfer and he retains the value throughout. But then you look, you suddenly drop quite considerably down that list when you look at the likes of Traore and some of the others mentioned, like they're valued at like the 10 million euro mark. So yeah, there's a steep drop in quality in terms of what Transfermarkt are rating these players at. But I think
that's the thing. A lot of the best players have signed for clubs already.
Yeah.
So they've already gone like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Like Miles Skriniar and a few other players like that whose contracts were up. They've been, obviously Villa's got Tielemans and stuff like that. A lot of the better players have already agreed deals.
I guess another question with this is like if we were at the like very close of the window and the squad was still the same as it is now, like a lot of the defensive options we've talked about, like then I'd be taking them. Someone like Traore, probably not. Elliot Nusi, probably not.
Definitely not.
But Lucas,
I can't believe you started out on him.
I know. Just because he's higher up the list doesn't mean that he's any good. Like Tom Davies is up there, but none of us have mentioned him because he's absolutely wank.
Just rather cook the comedian.
Oh, definitely. I'd love to see him in a Toon shirt.
Centre back.
But someone like Lucas Moura, for example, like I'd definitely take him if it was like last day of the transfer window and we still needed cover. And he's Brazilian. Like, there's a lot of these that do have good qualities.
You'll fill the Brazilian quarter up.
Oh yeah. Gotta keep mind of that.
Is there any more on your guys' list? Because I'm out.
I've got one more name.
I've got one more name as well.
Moussa Dembele.
Oh yeah, he was on my list actually.
Yeah.
So obviously, he's 353 appearances, 152 goals, pretty decent. Still only 20. Granted, a lot of them would have been against like Livingston and shit when he played for Celtic. So he's definitely stat padded when he was in the Scottish Premier League. But yeah, he's 27, striker.
With quality player.
How much have we mentioned getting a striker in?
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Get him in. He can come in for Wilson if we want to keep Isaac on the pitch. Like, he can come straight in. He's a bags man. He knows where the net is, and for free. I can't see really any downsides to this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was on my list as well. He's just he seems perfect in that. And whether or not he's willing to be third fiddle is like the other question. I think he's probably leaning towards signing for a club that he becomes the main man for. Like, and at 27, he's going to want a 5-year deal and biggish money, I would imagine. The only issue, he had like quite a big drop off last season, in his final season at Lyon, having scored like double figures in the previous seasons. That he only scored 3 last season in over 20 odd appearances, so that's maybe a little alarming drop in form. But yeah, my only other suggestion was his rival in the when he was playing in the Scottish Prem.
No, don't.
Why?
He's bigger than bloody Eden Hazard, this guy.
Yeah, I know I know he's an absolute like unit, but
Got another pie on.
we've got a Colombian pie. I don't know. There's something about empanada. There's something about
I've got to tell people who you're actually talking about here.
yeah, I'm getting it. Alfredo Morelos.
Building it up. He likes a deep fried Mars bar.
he may do, and you know he's not too far away from getting one of them if he signs for us. If he so wishes. But no, I don't know, something about him. There's something about him, and I don't know why. That I've mentioned him, I think, in previous podcasts, that there's something about him that just, I don't know. He plays on the edge. Like, I get that he's obviously got some disciplinary issues. so many reds. I get it, but I don't know. He was brilliant for Rangers in their European campaign where they went all the way to the final. Like, so for me, again, he comes in with playing at that European level as well and playing quite well at it. But I get the fitness issues and the disciplinary issues are obviously major red flags, so I can understand why. But there's something about him, like, just makes me think he could work. But if you were to say Dembele or Morelos, I would be saying Dembele over him. But yeah, he's at 27. They're both the same age, so like both of them are gonna be looking for that like big final kind of contract. I
actually don't know if Dembele would necessarily be third choice. You know, if he came in, I think he potentially, especially if you sold it to him that Wilson's going to be retiring or moving on after the next season, I think there's a good chance we could actually get him. Because you think Isak as well, like, could be playing on the left wing sometimes.
Yeah.
Interesting to see if we could get that one done. But there's rumours he's going to join Gerrard as well.
That's
what,
Megan.
Morelos is or Dembele?
I mean, it's just Dembele. Yeah, I'm totally just disregarding him, mate.
No, I'd understand the Morelos ones more, since he was Gerrard was his manager at Rangers, but the Dembele one,
maybe Morelos thought they were called Al Ittihad.
Oh wow, love it.
I've done that to see that.
You peaked there.
Well,
no limit to these jokes.
On that note, then we'll wrap it up, shall we? No, like I said, obviously there is some options there, and I think it would be really interesting to see if we do end up going into this sort of market, which I don't believe we have for a while now. I can't remember the last time we got a player on a free.
Good point.
On a Bosman, as they used to call it.
Was it? Who was it?
It probably will be later on in the transfer window if it happens, I'd imagine. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled, but make sure you heard it here first. If any of these players come to the Toon, unless it's NUFC, and then you didn't hear it here. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Obviously, we'll be back next week, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you leave us a rating, like the video, subscribe to the channel.